Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Yasodanandana Braja Janarajana.
Yasodanandana Braja Janarajana.
Yasodanandana Braja Janarajana.
Yasodananda Braja Janarajana.
Zamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Rama Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Yasodanandana Braja Janarajana.
Yasodananda Braja Janarajana.
Yasodanandana Braja Janarajana.
Yasodanandana Braja Janarajana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
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 Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Raj, the holder of the great hill named Govardhan, the beloved son of Mother Yasoda, and the delighter of the inhabitants of Raj. He wanders in the forest along the banks of the river Jamuna. Please repeat. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chava Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Please repeat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam,
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam,
which is the very means of conquest,
which is the very means of conquest,
one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan,
one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan,
unto Narayan Rishi,
Narayan Rishi,
the supermost human being,
the supermost human being,
unto Mother Saraswati,
to Mother Saraswati,
the goddess of learning,
the goddess of learning,
and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
Please repeat. Shrinvatam Smakita Krishna
Srimvatam Sankavata Krishna,
Punyashravana Kirtana
Punyasravana Kirtana,
Vidyantastoya Bhakrani
Yasyato Sakrani,
Vidhu Noti Sarit Satam. Please repeat. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead,
Krishna, the personality of Godhead,
who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart,
with Paramatma, soul in everyone's heart,
and the benefactor of the truthful devotee,
and the benefactor of the truthful devotee,
cleanses desire for material enjoyment
cleanses desire for material enjoyment
from the heart of the devotee,
from the heart of the devotee,
who has developed the urge to hear his messages,
who has developed the urge to hear his messages,
which are in themselves virtuous,
which are themselves virtuous,
when properly heard and chanted.
and properly heard and chanted.
Nastapareshu Bhadreshu
Nastapareshu Bhadreshu,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Bhagavatam Ashloke
Bhagavatam
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki.
Naishtaki,
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam. Please repeat. Sorry. Please repeat. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam.
by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam,
By the rendering of service to the pure devotee.
by rendering some service to the pure devotee,
All that is troublesome to the heart
all that is troublesome to the heart
is almost completely destroyed.
is almost completely destroyed,
And loving service unto the personality of Godhead,
and loving service for the personality of Godhead,
whose praise of transcendental song
whose praise of transcendental song
is established as an irrevocable fact.
is established as an irrevocable fact.
So right there is the answer to that song. You know, I mentioned it the other day. Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy. But see, they don't tell you how to be happy. And here it is, right here. It tells you right here. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by the rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service, and that's what we're all about. We're all about loving service. That's what we want. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise of transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. So we don't have to worry about it. As long as we follow that, then it will be established in us. As long as we're sincere, you know. As long as we're reasonable, as Prabhu says. As long as the people are reasonable, you know. It's a very simple process.
Have to have faith and just do it.
Yeah, just do it, as they used to say. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the second canto, the 9th chapter, text number 37. Wow, we're really getting through this. Please repeat. Etam,
Etam,
Matam,
Matam,
Samatista.
Samatista.
Etam, Matam, Samatista.
Etam, Matam, Samatista.
Paramena,
Paramena,
Samadena,
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 kalpesu
na vimuyati
vimuyati
karhichit
karichit
na vimuyati karhichit
vimuyati karichit
etan matam samatista
samatista
paramena samandina avankapa vikalpeshu na vimuyati karhichit
Etanmatam samatista paramena samadhina Avankapa vikalpesu na vimukyati karhichit Etanmatam samatista paramena samadhina Navimukyati karhichit Etanmatam samatista paramena samadhina Bhavan kalpa vikalpesu
Etanmatam samatista paramena samadhina
Bhavan kalpa vikalpesu Navimuyati karhichit
Etanmatam samatista
Etanmatam samatista
paramena samadhina Bhavan kalpa vikalpesu Navimuyati karhichit
Etanmatam samatista paramena samadhina Bhavan kalpa vikalpesu Navimuyati karhichit
Etanmatam samatista
Etanmatam samatista
paramena samadhina
paramena samadhina Bhavan kalpa vikalpesu Navimuyati karhichit
Etanmatam samatista
Etanmatam samatista
paramena samadhina
Bhavan
kalpa vikalpeshu
Bhavan kalpa vikalpesu
Navimukhyati karhichit
Navimuyati karhichit
That's everybody. Please repeat. Etat, this. Matam, the conclusion. Samatista, remain fixed. Paramena, by the Supreme.
by the Supreme.
Samadhina,
Samadhina,
concentration of the mind.
concentration of the mind.
Bhavan,
Bhavan,
yourself.
yourself.
Kalpa,
Kalpa,
intermediate devastation.
immediate devastation.
Vikalpeshu,
Vikalpesu,
in the final devastation.
in the final devastation.
Nam,
Nam,
Vimuyati,
Vimuyati,
will never bewilder.
will never be willed.
Karichit,
Goyachit,
anything like complacence.
anything like complacency.
Please repeat translation. O Brahma,
O Brahma,
just follow this conclusion
just follow this conclusion
by fixed concentration of mind,
by fixed concentration of mind,
and no pride will disturb you,
and no pride will disturb you,
neither in the partial
neither in the partial
nor in the final devastation.
nor the final devastation.
I'll read that again. O Brahma, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. So I guess we look back to the previous translation, text 36, because Krishna is saying just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. Text 36, a person who is searching after the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, most certainly search for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. A person who is searching after the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, most certainly search for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, both directly and indirectly. So now we're on text 37. And this verse is, O Brahma, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. It's very interesting about pride. I just want to make a quick comment. But as an actor, sometimes pride can get in the way, right? And then sometimes you can use it. It's like, oh yeah, I really am, like that, And then you realize, of course, you realize that you're not really like this. But if you can use it in a role, you know what I mean, like a king, very royal, yeah, I really am superior in many ways or whatever. It's an illusion. But ultimately, it bothers us because it usually gets in the way of our service to the Supreme Lord. So that's one reason he says, "Oh Brahma, just follow the conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation." Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, has summarized the whole text in 4 verses, namely Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, etc. So the complete Srimad Bhagavatam has also been summarized in 4 verses, as Aham Evasham Evagre, etc. Thus, the secret purpose of the most important Bhagavatite conclusion has been explained by the original speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who was also the original speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead. So I'll read that again. Thus, the secret purpose of the most important Bhagavatite conclusion has been explained by the original speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who was also the original speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. There are many grammarians and non-devotee material wranglers who have tried to present false interpretations of these 4 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but the Lord himself advised Brahmaji not to be deviated from the fixed conclusion the Lord had taught him. The Lord was the teacher of the nucleus of the Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 verses, and Brahma was the receiver of the knowledge. This interpretation of the word aham by the word jugguli of the impersonalist should not disturb the mind of the strict followers of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the text of the personality of Godhead and his unalloyed devotees, who are also known as the Bhagavatas, and any outsider should have no access to this confidential literature of devotional service. But unfortunately, the impersonalist, who has no relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sometimes tries to interpret Srimad Bhagavatam by his poor fund of knowledge in grammar and dry speculation. Therefore, the Lord warns Brahma, and through Brahma, all future devotees of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Brahma, that one should never be misled by the conclusion of the so-called grammarians or by other men with a poor fund of knowledge, but must always fix the mind properly via the Parampara system. That one should never be misled by the conclusion. Therefore, the Lord warns Brahma, and through Brahma, all future devotees of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Brahma, that one should never be misled by the conclusion of the so-called grammarians or by other men with a poor fund of knowledge, but must always fix the mind properly. That's the secret right there, via the Parampara system. No one should try to give a new interpretation by dint of mundane knowledge. And the first step, therefore, in pursuance of the system of knowledge received by Brahma is to approach a bona fide guru, who is representative of the Lord following the Parampara system. No one should try to squeeze out his own meaning by imperfect, mundane knowledge. The guru, or the bona fide spiritual master, is competent to teach the disciple in the right path with reference to the context of all authentic Vedic literature. He does not attempt to juggle words to bewilder the student. The bona fide spiritual master, by his personal activities, teaches the disciple the principles of devotional service. Without personal service, one would go on speculating like the impersonalists and dry speculators life after life, and would be unable to reach the final conclusion. By following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master in conjunction with the principles of revealed scriptures, the student will rise to the plane of complete knowledge, which will be exhibited by development of detachment from the world of sense gratification. So, yeah, I've been thinking about that recently. I was thinking, there's different sannyasis, and they all have different personalities. And some may appear to us to be more, renounced than others. And, you know what I mean? It may appear to our vision. But we should never judge. Just to think that any devotee surrendering his life to take care of the deities and so many services, we should really honor those devotees. And a sannyasi, of course, is just a label, but we should also honor the sannyasis and even gurus, because so many times I see they don't get, proper respect, you know what I mean? Or that person actually was, you know what I mean? Finding fault with that sannyasi. I've seen sannyasis deal with so many things, And so my heart goes out to them. They live such a strict lifestyle. They have to be very strict themselves, and they know they can be judged by everybody around, by how they're acting and everything. It's not easy. But anyway, I was been thinking about that recently. So I give respect to sannyasis and all the God brothers. It's always best to play it safe, never judge anybody. And they're in our parampara. So, it's always best to play it safe. Because when Grahi Maharaj, he said, if you start to lose your enthusiasm for devotional service, that means you've committed a mistake to a devotee. Of course, it's possible to commit mistakes, offenses to Radha Krishna too, you know. But he says, if you start to lose that taste, you know what I mean? It means you have to backtrack to figure out who I may have offended. Because Krishna, you know, I mean, the devotee forgives, but Krishna may not forgive how you offended that devotee, you know what I mean? So I thought, wow, such nectar, you know what I mean?
We talked about that this morning, the exact thing what you were just talking about.
Oh, really? It's such a fine thing, you know what I mean? And if you want anything to back it up, you need talking to somebody who's like a little more, well, I need a little more concrete evidence. Well, just think about this. You know, in the previous ages, so many of us had the ability to truly curse people. Think about that. And you could be in the spiritual world and still get cursed, you know, and fall in the material world. So it's really good to respect everybody, you know what I mean? And have everybody be your friend. After all, in the spiritual world, Prabhu says we're all friends, you know. But, yeah, I mean, we're all children of one Father, and our Father is the most powerful, the most famous, you know. To the bona fide spiritual master, by his personal activities, teaches the disciple the principles of devotional service. That's why I wanted to talk about sannyas, and by personal, you know, they're watching everything, you know. And if they really believe in that person, they say he's so strict, and you really believe, you know, then you even spread the glories of that devotee around the world. Whereas we all would love to be able to spread our own glories and like that, but actually that's just pride getting in the way again. You know, pride is not our friend, of course, just like lust is not our friend. This body is not my friend. I just happen to be in it, you know. So the bona fide spiritual master, by his personal activities, teaches the disciple the principles of devotional service. Without personal service, one would go on speculating like the impersonalists and dry speculators life after life and be unable to reach the final conclusion. By following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master in conjunction with the principles of revealed scriptures, the student will rise to the plane of complete knowledge, which will be exhibited by development of detachment from the world of sense gratification. The mundane regulars are surprised that one can detach himself from the world of sense gratification, and thus any attempt to be fixed in God realization appears to them to be mysticism. This detachment from the sensory world is called the Brahma-bhuta stage of realization, the preliminary stage of transcendental devotional service, para bhakti. The Brahma-bhuta stage of life is also known as the Atmarama stage, in which one is fully self-satisfied and does not hanker for the world of sense enjoyment. This stage of full satisfaction is the proper situation for understanding the transcendental knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Let's take a slight break here. I was just curious what you were talking about that subject earlier.
Exactly what you said. That's what we were talking about this morning.
Because, you know, the taste for devotional service is something that we all need to really appreciate and understand and realize it can't be taken away from.
Oh, in other
It
words,
comes from, you know, offenses.
And small things, you know, it'll start with small things. You know. Your clothing, how you dress, you go to the temple, small things like that.
Little details.
And then eventually you end up not wanting to be around and do anything, you know.
Yeah, Prabhu says, you know, everything has a force that propels it forward. And of course, you know, enthusiasm, devotional service is the most important thing, you know. And you see it in the Gayatri Mantra, you see it all through devotional service, you know, it's so important, enthusiasm. And like I've said many times, I was so lucky in the early days because I was surrounded by all these strict devotees, and it was every day, 6 days a week at least, 6.5 sometimes, but Srila Prabhupada's books. I mean, I owe it all to them. That enthusiasm that I saw them, Vaishasika still got it, Suradas, Nakatma, Pragosh, and all these devotees, you know. I mean, they just, in their kirtans, how could you not be drenched? I mean, especially Suradas. I mean, sweat's flying everywhere. And everybody's ecstasy, you know, and it's like, wow, you know what I mean? You don't know how it's happening, but it's happening, especially in the beginning. You know, to be around those kind of devotees that are so enthusiastic. So enthusiasm is what's always driven me, but it's not a cheap thing. I mean, it's actually, you have to actually do the devotional service, you know, follow strictly Prabhupada's instructions, you know. But anyway, yeah, I always talk about enthusiasm because it's been so important to me in my devotional life. I mean, I'm not going to say devotional career because it's not a career for me. It's what saved me in life. My life was empty. And now I'm living the way I'm supposed to. I mean, we were trying to be spiritual, no doubt about it, but we didn't know Krishna. You know. Krishna is our best friend, you know. I mean, every day he's watching out for us. I remember that Mataji in Dallas, I think she said, I'm so fortunate because I was a brand new devotee and I was loaded into association with those young devotees. And she saw every day how they were always constantly depending on Krishna. And they were her bhakta leaders or whatever. They were just little kids. And that's her foundation. I feel the same way about those devotees, just like this devotee here is right here. Gokulanjali. There's so many devotees that you can't help it, you know, they just, and you know, Surya has no idea. I tried to explain to him one time, you know, what he has meant to us. I said, you're like Patton on the battlefield. You know, it was so, you know, just like that. And I was trying to explain it in class one time, and he was giving class. He didn't want to hear about it. So we should give all respect to those devotees, you know. Srimad Bhagavatam 1-20 affirms this. The stage of full satisfaction is a proper situation for understanding the transcendental knowledge. The stage of full satisfaction is a proper situation for understanding the transcendental knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam affirms this 1-20. Evam prasana manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasha jayate. Thus, in the completely satisfied stage of life, exhibited by full detachment from the world of sense gratification as a result of performing devotional service, one can understand the science of God in the liberated stage. Now I'll read that verse to you. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Now that would have been a good verse to read to my doctor yesterday. He's a young doctor, and he was really asking me to speak a lot more yesterday. And I quoted him a few things, but this would have been a really nice one because it's scientific. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association.
You read that to your doctor?
No, I did some other things, but I was thinking, you know, next time I go, I'm going to have a few noted down, you know, that could apply to him, to him, you know.
I thought Tate just told you not to preach to him.
Yeah, and I even told him that yesterday. I said, you know, Tate just told me not to talk. Yeah, he would have me not talk to anybody. I don't know why. But, you know, anyway, that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Okay, we'll continue. Does anybody have questions or comments so far?
Wasn't a question, something I was going to say, and I need to go to the kitchen. It's blasting over there, so he needs help.
You want to tell him to turn it down?
This is a guy going that he needs help.
Oh, in there? It's
really, I can't concentrate. It's too much. As we talked earlier, we talked about this taste of Krishna conscious. And then it goes back, I have a realization, it goes back to your training when you first come in. When you're new, you're training, if you train and you have the right training, it just sticks with you, you know. I'm a little bit fortunate, I think, at that time, but I didn't realize it until now, that I had 4 sannyasis, or 1 brahmachari and 4 sannyasis. Bhakta Vriksha Swami, which is now Bhakti Churu Maharaj, Prabhu Vishnu Swami, and Bhanu Swami.
Wow.
Those 4 of them, because there was these 2 groups,
Where was that? Where was that
It's
at?
in Malaysia. This Hamsadutta group,
Where were you?
in Malaysia.
Oh.
This Hamsadutta group has a whole bunch of brahmacharis. So there was a conflict, so they took everything and left with these 4 people. And they don't have anybody and no car. So I had a car and I was the only one. I don't know why I left with them, because I just don't like those brahmacharis. They were very heavy, you know. But these 4 sannyasis, they trained me. They all are very heavy also in their own way. You know, so I had to listen to this one, this one, this one. And the best one among them was Bhanu Maharaj. He's the one who taught me how to cook and do deity worship, all these things, you know, he was there. But I was very fortunate. I didn't know then, but I did know later that what they trained me, you know, on all this, to do your service, you know, not to not do your service, has to be there. And all that is so important, you know. You go back later and realize, wow, I was fortunate to have them, you know.
Each one of them had their own heavy experiences with Srila Prabhupada, and they're, you know, and as has been said, we're Prabhupada's monkey army, you know.
Yeah.
We were very young back in those days, you know what I mean, and trying to, like the little boy is trying to emulate his father, but he's not so expert, you know what I mean?
So when
Well,
you-
is a scholar. He translates all these.
Yeah, he's the best. He trained me a lot.
In this stage of full satisfaction and detachment from the sensory world, one can know the mystery of the silence of God, and with all its confidential intricacies, and not by grammar or by academic speculation. So right there, Prabhupada's saying, this is Prabhupada speaking, in this stage of full satisfaction and detachment from the sensory world, one can know the mystery of the science of God, with all its confidential intricacies. I'm listening to this, you know, and not by grammar or academic speculation. Because Brahma qualified himself for such reception, the Lord was pleased to disclose the purpose of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This direct instruction by the Lord to any devotee who is detached from the world of sense gratification is possible, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Tesham satata yutanam bhajata pritipurvakam dadami vidyogitam yenamam upayatite. For those who are constantly devoted and worshiping with love, how's it go? The understanding by which they can come. Yeah, it's a very simple verse. To those who are constantly devoted and worshiping with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. It's so simple. And Bhagavad Gita is it is a song. The verses are shorter, you know, very easy to learn, and very beautiful. So, Prabhupada says, and to the devotees who are constantly engaged in Lord's transcendental service, Priti Purvakam, the Lord, out of his causeless mercy upon the devotee, gives direct instructions so that the devotee may make accurate progress on the path of returning home back to Godhead. One should not, therefore, try to understand these 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam by mental speculation, Rather, by direct perception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is able to know all about his abode, Vaikuntha, as was seen and experienced by Brahmaji. Since Vaikuntha realization is possible by any devotee of the Lord situated in the transcendental position as a result of devotional service. In the Gopal Tapani Upanishad Shruti, it is said, Gopa Vishu Me Purushaha Parastad Avir Bhuva. The Lord appeared before Brahma as a cowboy, that is, as the original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, Govinda, who is later described by Brahmaji in the Brahma Samhita 529. Chintamani prakara sadhana shukopa vriksha laksha vritesha surabhir abhipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra satasam brahma sevyamanam govindamari purusham tamam rajani. Brahmaji desires to worship the original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, who resides in the topmost Vaikuntha planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, where he is in the habit of keeping Sarabi cows as a cowboy, where he is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, the gopis, with love and respect. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Lord. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is also clear from this instruction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, and not directly Narayan or the Purusha avatars, which are subsequent manifestations. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam means consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam means consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound representation of the Lord as much as the Bhagavad Gita is. Thus, the conclusion is that Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Lord, in which the Lord and his abode are perfectly realized. That's the last two words of the purport. Thus, the conclusion is that Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Lord, in which the Lord and his abode are perfectly realized. And I guess the four, everybody knows what the four verses in the Bhagavatam,
4 verses?
the nutshell verses of the Bhagavatam.
That's like 10, 8, 12? No, in the Bhagavatam, we just... Oh, Bhagavatam.
Yeah, Bhagavatam has 4 nutshell verses also. Can you believe it? Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
37.
It's 33, 34, 35, 36.
Yeah, 33, 34, 35, 36, yeah. Yeah, it's a little confusing because you start thinking about Bhagavatam, you know, some nutshell verses in Bhagavad Gita too. It's not amazing. It's not amazing. But if you look, text 36 talks about it a lot too. About both of them actually.
That's it.
Still got 5 minutes, man.
Close up and do some kita. Already difficult to listen to class with that. It's just a big challenge.
So it's coming from right there.
You just asked him to turn it down for like 5 minutes.
What's going on? Is that Gary or something?
No, you're right. He's alone. So that's okay. I'm going right now.
No, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Because you have a good brain. The balloon brains like us, you know, it's difficult. I
So
cannot. I have to be like,
Little Geary or?
no, this is you know,
Okay.
he's alone there.
Yeah, I was thinking about asking
Yeah,
maybe,
okay.
do you think we should ask Little Geary if he could fix the wipers on the van?
Little Gary, you can haul the other.
Are they here?
But Jeff was going to take a look at it, so I could.